what you are doing. Other clubs can also bring their own evidence.
Club, that's
it's the mark of being a small club, and that's why Arsenal will always remain a small club. Sorry to say, because now Arsenal are the master of the dirty games now in the world.
Yeah.
I've not seen any team this season that has played dirty like Arsenal FC. So they shouldn't even be the ones to, because when you play dirty, you condition the minds of the referees. Were you thinking that the Arsenal team that had Jevio in attack, Jevio, Adebayo, Van Persie, do you think that they were supposed to win the league over a Manchester United team that had Cristiano Ronaldo, Carlos Tevez, Wayne Rooney, Jason Park, Ryan Giggs?
All right, so let's take a quick look at the Chelsea Liverpool encounter. A shock result for some people. For some, it was expected because Liverpool, the form they have been in this season has been suspicious, really. But after losing to Crystal Palace, we expected that Chelsea would be able to hold their own, maybe get a draw, but not a victory as dramatic as we experienced.
I said it a few weeks ago that Liverpool fans should be grateful for the fact that Liverpool FC are able to pick up results.
Yeah.
If you look at the 2 games they've lost so far in the Premier League, they lost at stoppage time.
Yes.
So it's almost as if like we comically say, he who lives by penalty dies by penalty. Yes. He who lives by stoppage time goes. You understand the point. So I've always said this: if you are not playing well, you are able to pick up the point. That's why it's a league game. It's not, the team that win the leagues sometimes do not have to be the team that dominates all statistics. You just have to be able to win the game. But it was a tactical masterclass from Enzo Maresca, and it showed again that Chelsea have quality.
Okay.
Now, aside from the goalkeeping and the defense department, Chelsea has stacked everywhere in their team, and it showed with the way they played Liverpool. Although I think Salah was non-existent in that match.
Yeah, for me, I think something that I really liked about that game was the fact that Chelsea, despite the suspensions they had and despite the injuries, were able to match Liverpool.
Yes, they were able to adapt tactically.
Exactly, and then they were able to find the weaknesses in the Liverpool side that we have all seen all season. But let's quickly look at Liverpool again. With the new signings, Isak, Ekitike, Florian Wirtz, these are really expensive signings. And then you have Frimpong and Kekes coming in also. Do you think that the absence of someone like Arnold,
Trent Arnold is probably one of the most underrated playmakers we've had in football in the past 10 years, in the last 10 years. Arnold is able to, Liverpool plays a fast gegenpressing game.
Yes.
So they really do not need a playmaker at the attacking end of the pitch. So they were able to rely on the creativity of Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold. But now Robertson is obviously aging. He's now playing as a second fiddle to Kekes. And Arnold is no longer there. Arnold would have been able to pick passes that would release the
likes of Salah,
Cody Gakpo, and Isak, Alexander Isak. But he's no longer there, so I think the coach has to adapt his game to match his current squad. But I also think that Florian Wirtz has not really. I don't want to write him off.
Okay,
that's not my style. But I think he has not been. The form that he had at Bayer Leverkusen, where he was, he was playing football for fun, he was scoring, assisting, he was dictating the play. I think he has not been able to find his feet at Liverpool just yet. But again, I will still repeat it. Salah was non-existent in that game, and it proves what you have been saying personally, that Liverpool do not have a replacement for Mohamed Salah, and it's kind of like a problem. Salah is aging, and there are matches where he would disappear in. You need to have somebody that would, step in for him.
I think that Liverpool fans should be patient. I believe that the connection Trent and Salah had is what is making Salah look out of place right now.
Yes.
If Frimpong and Salah can develop that bond, which I doubt, because also Salah is aging. The age factor is also there. So that connection is missing on that side of the field. Cody Gakpo as fielding for Luis Diaz, I think fairly okay so far. But this team will take some time. I think that they will take some time. Liverpool has not been able to defend the league, but I've not been able to win the league back to back in years. So we're not. They may not win. They may not be able to defend the league this season.
It's too early to. Even Manchester United can still win the league. At this
Anybody can still win the league, but the point is that it's too early to write them off.
Yeah,
it's too early to write off the big signings and say that they
are flops. Yes, because
let's give the team some time.
No, in a team like Liverpool, if Liverpool does well this season and Florian Wirtz, for example, gets 5 goals, non-penalty goals, that's the same amount Bruno Fernandes got at Manchester United last season. He's able to get 5 non-penalty goals and he's able to assist, let's say, another 8 to 10 goals. He has done perfectly well.
Of course.
He has done well. Yes. So I think the main problem, and this is why this is my advice to football fans. You have to be very realistic. You cannot have it all. It's not video game you can exit and restart. If you are playing a good game, or even if you've played a bad game and you're able to, secure a victory, every other things like assists, dribble statistics, clearances, they come second. In a league as competitive as the Premier League, you need to get the points.
Sure.
If Liverpool had gotten 8 points from their fight, because of course they could have lost some of those games, and they could have drawn some of the other games. Yes. Assuming the first 5 games of this season, they had just 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. That would have been 8 points for them. And now they've lost back-to-back games to Crystal Palace FC and Chelsea Football Club. Now that would have put them at around 8 points, yes. And that would have been like half of what Arsenal currently has. And they have to face Manchester United when they come back from international break. And mind you, it will not be an easy game because the historical rivalry between Liverpool FC and Manchester United is going to come at a climax again. Even the matches that Liverpool have won by 5-0, 7-0, they all came as shockers to me because there are games that that this game is going to be tight. It's going to be decided by a few mistakes. And that's what's going to happen because if you notice, even the Manchester United team, they've reinforced too.
Of course.
And they would always, and Amorim has always had good games against Liverpool with Manchester United. So that's how I see it.
So I think that fans should calm down.
Yeah, temper their expectations.
Team in the Premier League has reinforced for the season. Even the lower ranked teams.
Yeah, the money is there. Yes, the money is there. So all teams are able to
find that there are quality players in almost every team.
Every team.
So if you get a 2-0 result or a 2-1 scrappy victory, take your 3 points and be happy. Now, before we go to Chelsea, my final point on the Liverpool team will be that last season when Slot came in, it was technically the club team he used all through to win the league.
I don't agree with that because
we did not see too many additions in his first season.
But the instructions were definitely different.
The formation and the tactics may have changed, but it was
the personnel. The personnel. Okay, yes.
Now he's trying to build a team in his own image. It will take some time of trying to readjust. Chelsea, on the other hand, let's talk about the disciplinary issue with Chelsea. This time around, it was the coach.
I think by next week it will be the fans. The fans will start getting red cards.
My question is that supposed to be a red card? It was just celebrating.
These decisions in football, they are subjective.
Okay.
So there are things the referee might have observed. It might have been warned before by the referee, or the referee may have taken it to be that is inciting the opposition.
Okay.
Because I am, when you run across the opposition to go and celebrate like that, it may, we've had such issues before between Thomas Tuchel and Antonio Conte when they were managing Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur respectively. They had to be red carded at the end of the game. So that, to me, that must have been what the referee, reasoned before showing him the second yellow card. But if Chelsea believe that the red card was unfair, they have the option of appealing.
It was a second yellow.
Of course, so they can also appeal it. I'm not sure this should have been a yellow card can Maresca not serve the ban? You know, I think that's also an option for them. Moreover, it wasn't even violent, didn't commit a foul, he was just celebrating excessively. And mind you, there's something we call excessive celebration in football.
Okay.
These things are just subjective. For example, if I'm a Chelsea a Chelsea FC player, and I celebrate provocatively towards the Liverpool fans, I will be carded for it.
Okay.
If I take off my shirt, I'll be carded for it. If I use obscene language, or I will be carded for it too. Yeah. So these are, football is a contact sport. You definitely be provoked when playing football, but you just have to have a system where people are able to reduce the amount of conflict you can have.
Personally, I think that we're killing the sport, and I'll explain. Football is a sport for men, but now we have women in sport. But what I mean is, football is a
maturity,
sport
like in terms of maturity,
that is passionate, right? Banter is part of the game. Growing up and watching Man United versus Arsenal clashes in those days, you could see the tension and the excitement. It was almost like war. Now, there's too much regulation. The celebration police in the Premier League, you can't celebrate like this. You have to wait until the end of the season if you win something or not. Arsenal fans over-celebrate when they win a game. I think that you should enjoy a game week by week. If my team wins this week, I celebrate. If we lose, because you cannot ask a fan to wait until the end of the season to celebrate. Now, Maresca celebrated because of the way the victory came. For me, it should not have been a second yellow card.
Yeah. That's to you.
Yeah.
But I do think that most of the rules that have been implemented by the Premier League board has been, top notch, and that's why the Premier League is the most competitive and the most financially rewarding league in the world. There are so many factors that this the decision makers have to factor in.
Okay.
There are so many things that they look at before taking these decisions. And if you understand, like you were saying, we used to have this fierce battle between the Arsenal versus Manchester United around 20, 25, 30
Even
years
Chelsea
ago.
And Arsenal, Wenger and Mourinho.
Yes.
It was
but then you could also understand that the lifespan of footballers then was not as high as it was today because of the injuries they would suffer. They had to tame, tackling with both feet as a red cardable offense for it to stop. So it's all about protecting the personnel.
Okay.
They are humans too. They have to be protected. They have to do what they must to ensure that it's exciting. No one wants to turn on to your TV and see that players are fighting or the coaches are fighting.
Okay, personally, I think that banter is part of the sport.
Of course, you can banter, but don't fight.
If we want to regulate celebration, for example, and then it means that during the World Cup, for example, Emi Martinez, the Argentina goalkeeper, during the penalty shootout, made saves and danced provocatively.
Yes. That was excessive.
All of that for me is part of the sport.
And it's one of the reasons is very, very hated in the sport.
If you cannot take the banter, don't watch the game.
But you are a professional. You shouldn't be the one doing the bantering. Leave that to the fans. You should be a role model to young children watching at home. Leave that to the fans. Let them do that in their beer parlor, in their offices.
While we try to regulate banter and the fun of the game, because I, as an Arsenal fan, for example, would love to hear my player talk trash about Tottenham Hotspur. It's just fun. It's just part of the game.
I don't want to hear that. I want the fans to do it. The fans can, trash talk another team and an opponent.
But the fans can talk trash to the players.
It depends on, people are able to express their opinions.
But the players are not allowed to retaliate.
No, it's not as if they are not allowed to retaliate. Most times, you don't even have the time or the opportunity to retaliate. For example, if I make a comment about Bruno Fernandes, for example, and I say, you're not performing too well, Bruno Fernandes is this or that. Let me not use some, vulgar words now.
Yes.
I don't think Bruno Fernandes should have the time to scroll through my social media pages. He's not even my friend. He doesn't follow me on Instagram. He's not my friend on Facebook.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the time to go and see what I said. Most of the times when we make banter posts, it's even for the other fans or people who love him to respond to and be like, no, Bruno isn't like this, Bruno isn't like that. At the height of the Ronaldo versus Messi issue, at the point in time, it was Cristiano Ronaldo's sister that was replying or making some posts on Instagram with her own account. So when you know where you are, you don't even have time. You should be focused on your career. It's not as if I walked up to Bruno Fernandes and say, you don't know how to play football. I didn't walk up to him. I said that from the comfort. No, there are behaviors that I can even do now that they cannot do. And there are some things that others can do that I cannot do.
I think that we should be careful
of course,
the way we talk about these players, because the social media space is somewhere that even the players too, sometimes they see these posts.
Yes, yes. Some of those posts are just hurtful.
And we have reasons to have to be concerned about the mental health of some of
these players. Of course. They are humans like we are. That's why
regulate.
Yes, we should regulate it. We should be
I remember last season, one Arsenal fan tweeted and sent a tweet to Kai Havertz wishing that his pregnant wife would die with the baby. That was just
they said they threatened Maguire, told him they were going to put a bomb in his house.
Yes.
That's
excessive.
Yeah, that's excessive. But I can make a post and be like, Maguire is not what is he doing in Manchester United? He should leave.
And we do not support extremism. That's a different in sports. Quickly, we'll go to another interesting game that we saw during the week. Let's do the Arsenal West Ham game. Arsenal versus West Ham United. Great game. West Ham came with so much confidence because they've beaten Arsenal twice there. In the last 2 games, they've won at the Emirates Stadium. They have a new manager. The new manager bounced. But somehow, the game itself was really disappointing. West Ham did not do anything in that game, as far as I'm concerned. They had no shot on target. It was just total dominance from Arsenal.
It's about the game management that I've been saying for years. And when you watch football objectively and subjectively, you are able to pick some points from it. Now, Arsenal, when you are, that's the problem Arsenal had last season. They had too many draws.
Yes.
They had around 14 draws, if my memory serves me right.
Yes.
So when you play and have too many draws against teams you should necessarily pick up the points from, it affects you at the end of the season.
Of course.
Ordinarily, what you should do is to ensure that you win as much much games as you can.
Yes.
Make sure that you fight for the 3 points whenever you can. And then when you play a team that you know that you are technically superior over, you don't have to labor yourself into getting the victory. You manage the game, manage the possession, control the chances that are had, and then when you get your goal, you defend strongly. And that has been the strong point of Arsenal. Yes. They play well, they are very, very strong defensively. They are big, they are strong, they are powerful, and they know how to use the ball. So that's a good point. That's just like the kind of victory any team that wants to win the league should be able to have. Yeah. You should have uneventful, boring games where you pick the points. Because when you try to play these fashionable, beautiful games, week in, week out, you are going to run out of energy. You are going to be figured out easily.
Of course.
You're going to even suffer from injuries and accumulated fatigue. You understand? So there are times when, even when you are not in form, you just use the fear factor of, this is Arsenal. This is probably the best team in England cumulatively in the past 3 years. This is the best team in England in the past 3 years, even though they didn't win the league in any of those years.
Yeah.
But we are playing against them, and then you are able to manage the game to ensure that you win. That's just how I see it.
Okay, so from that game also, one thing I also realized from that game was that you do not necessarily need to score plenty goals.
Of course, 1 or 2 goals is okay.
Got the lead in the first half, managed the second half very well until they got the penalty, and then just killed off the game. Against Olympiacos in the Champions League.
It was this, yes. The game was boring.
You scored first,
yes.
You managed
the game, grind the victory.
There is so much quality in the Premier League this season. You may not be able to beat many teams 4-0.
Yes. So when you get that one goal,
when you get your 2 goals, one goal in a game, you can manage it.
You manage it, then you now have other chances.
Look for another chance to double
kill the
your
game,
lead, and then you are good to go. Also, congratulations here to Bukayo Saka, 200 Premier League games for Arsenal. And of course, goal and assist contribution is 100 in 200 games, equaling the record of Thierry Henry at Arsenal. Bukayo Saka is becoming an Arsenal legend.
Yeah, I think what he needs now to cement his status as an icon for Arsenal is either the Premier League
or
or,
Champions League. Yes.
but obviously, Arsenal do not. I don't think Arsenal can win it because there's this fear factor that Arteta has. I don't know how to put this into word, but it's as if Arteta has this. He suffers from imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I think there are times when he looks at himself and he be like, I'm not sure I can do this. I'm not sure I'm up to this level. He has to come out of his shell. He has to make decisions that are strong, decisions that can cost him his job, decisions that he knows that this is a make or break decision. He has to stick with them and then he can succeed with it.
Okay. As an Arsenal fan, one thing I observed, right? I was trying to do a quick study before this. I observed that when Arteta took the Arsenal job, Arsenal as a football club was in crisis. In the team, in the club setup, it was a total mess. In fact, the Arsenal fans were disconnected from the team. Arteta has rebuilt the Arsenal culture. Every Arsenal fan anywhere today is proud of the team. There's more belief in the team. And then this is his first job. I think we all forget that Arteta is 43 years old. This is officially his first coaching job ever. So he has taken time to build a team. But like I said, this is the make or break season for him. He's out of excuses now. He has spent 6 or 7 years. He has spent over $1 billion. It's time for the investment to begin to yield for us now.
Yeah, so let me counter two things that you said. First of all, we don't have to say this is Arteta's first job. Guardiola's first senior job at Barcelona. He won the treble in his first year.
No, yes, but Guardiola had
coached the team B.
The youth
the team B that played the team B that played in the Segunda division.
Arteta had never coached at any level. One.
And then when Alonso's first full season in Bayern Leverkusen, he almost went unbeaten.
Yeah.
He won a double and could have won a treble if not for the fact that he was stopped by our own Ademola Lookman.
Yeah.
Whose performances for Atalanta that year earned him the African Footballer of the Year award. So we shouldn't say this is his first job. And also, we shouldn't say Arteta has built the Arsenal fan base back because football is a result-oriented game. The reason you see this this connection that the fans have back with Arteta is simply because it's getting them results. Arsenal are a very strong team. You understand the point? So you can build even a Grimsby Town that defeated Manchester United at the EFL Cup. You can build a very fanatic fan base around them if you keep winning. If Grimsby, for example, now they secure a promotion to the League One and then the Championship and then to the Premier League and then they start qualifying for the Champions League and all, I'm telling you, in a few years, you see that they have very, very fanatical fans and fan base too. So yeah, kudos to Arteta. He knows how to manage the press. He knows how to talk to the press. He has this image of someone who loves the club, and the fact that he played for Arsenal at the peak of his career also speaks for him. But I'm telling you, even the issues that as hated as Jose Mourinho was loved at Porto, he was loved at Benfica. It was loved at Chelsea.
Yeah.
At a point in time, Chelsea were not even Chelsea. At the point in time, Real Madrid, Inter Milan, they were the most hated clubs in the world. But their fans could have died for Jose Mourinho at any point in time while he was managing them. Even when he came to Manchester, I hated Jose Mourinho because I don't like the antic of unnecessary mind games. I think football is a respect sport. But it took me maturing to understand that Mourinho wants to create this us against them mentality. It helps his players fight for him, which is a good one. We're able to see through that now. That's a good one for him. But at the end of the day, when Mourinho came to Manchester United and was delivering, he was loved. But as soon as he started having some issues with results, he was fired. You understand? So if Arteta does not win the league this season, you have already said it now. You said two things that directly contradicts itself. You said Arteta has built the fan base connection to Arsenal again, and you are saying this is the break or mass season for him. That means if he does not get the required result, they are going to kick him out.
Yes, let me quickly explain that. Okay, what Arteta has done is he has rebuilt the culture around the club.
Of
It has
course.
taken him 7 years. Nobody is saying that he's going to build that forever. You have had 7 years to build this. You have had 7 years of continuous investment into the team in signings and all of that. In fact, you have spent more money than Arsene Wenger ever saw in his coaching career as the Arsenal boss in 22 years. Now it's time for those investments
To
to
pay off.
begin to pay off for Arsenal. So that's the Arsenal and the West Ham game that we saw during the weekend. We're expecting that hopefully all the players return back from international duty
Injury free.
without any major injury.
Yeah.
Although Arsenal captain Martin Odegaard got injured again, he has been subbed for the third time in the first half in the Premier League, breaking a record. 3 times in Premier League this season he has been subbed in the first half. It's a Premier League record, not a good one, if you ask me. So we are hoping that he is able to stay
Yes,
injury
I hope
free
they are able to
and then
manage
he's
the
able to
issue.
come back on time. Maybe Richie Eze and of course every other Arsenal player had a fantastic game. This is Arteta's 300th game in charge of Arsenal. 300 games so far.
That's a good one for him. It's a good achievement, and I hope he is able to continue at Arsenal. As a rival fan, I want Arteta to continue at Arsenal because he has not been delivering trophies. So it's easy for me to think that when Manchester United finds its feet, we are also going to win the league before him.
If there's anything I like about this Arsenal team is the fact that we have not just Arsenal, not just a fan as an Arsenal coach now, because Arteta is a fan of the club. Guardiola told us that every time they played against Arsenal, when they score, it does not celebrate. That told him that this guy loves Arsenal. So he's an Arsenal fan, but also the players coming in are players who have a connection with Arsenal. Bukayo Saka has been a fan from day one. Iberichi Eze was a fan from birth. He's back to the team. So you have a lot of passion around the players.
Okay.
Saliba is a big Arsenal fan.
Let me give you an example.
He has signed a new 5-year contract. So when you look at all of that together, we're hoping that this season they're able to finally deliver for a club that they really love.
Now, if Real Madrid, for example, offers Iberichi Eze £500,000 a week contract, Iberichi Eze will tell you that he has been a Real Madrid fan from birth. I'm telling you, you don't have to trust this. They are professional.
For the Iberichi Eze story, we do know that it was in the Arsenal academy from
that's like saying because I attended Uniben, I now have to lay down my life for Uniben.
And until today, his parents are fans of the
club. Yes, it's true. Football fans can also play for their team, but they are professionals.
If another team had come for him, of course. But we're saying that now that they are here, okay. Rashford is a Manchester United fan.
But when he got to Barca, everything he was saying, I was laughing.
But he is still a Manchester United fan. Exactly.
Of course, but
I'm not saying people like that into your team can be an added advantage.
And for poetic justice, assuming Barcelona are not able to sign him on a full contract,
he has to come back to Manchester.
And then he comes back to Manchester United and Real Madrid signs him. That guy is going to go to Real Madrid and say Mbappe or Vinicius, just the way he's talking about Lamine Yamal now.
Yeah.
He's going to say the same thing about Real Madrid stars.
Because, like we said,
it's business.
It's business. Okay, but there are some movements that we would never want to see in football. For example, it's impossible, for example, for me to imagine a Bukayo Saka with a Tottenham Hotspur jersey. It's almost an impossible sight. I remember the only time it ever happened was So Campbell from Tottenham to Arsenal. They've not forgiven him till today for that. But let's move on.
But quickly. Does he need their forgiveness? That's the biggest. That's the biggest question. Does he need their forgiveness? These people are strangers to him. What matters at the end of the day, even as a professional footballer, is your family. Yeah. It's also about how much you're able to give back. It's also about how much of a role model you are. And then you have to advance your career. You have to win trophies. You have to make more money. Because the life of a footballer is fast. You earn for around just 15, 20 years. And then because you have a high standard of living, you can go broke if you do not manage your wealth properly. Yeah. So I think fans might feel betrayed, and rightly so. But you don't need their forgiveness.
Okay, you may not, but you realize that at the end of your career, when you retire, sometimes you need this. You may need
Michael Owen only won
for example, Mikel Arteta left Arsenal as a player, came back and today is coaching the team. You have some former players who are coming back to their former clubs to coach.
Robin van Persie.
If you have a bad relationship, for example, there is no possibility in the nearest future, maybe except by a miracle, of a Robin van Persie coming back to coach an Arsenal, for example.
It might be
the
possible.
atmosphere will be too toxic.
It wouldn't be toxic for him
for the first 1 year, except it begins to actually deliver. The atmosphere will instantly become very toxic.
Let me give you an example. Let me give you a very simple example. Say Van Persie begins to manage a team like Ajax, and Ajax wins back-to-back Champions League titles, even a treble along the line. And then Arsenal are in crisis, and then they bring him in to manage them. And then he's able, like, even the aura is bringing him.
The point is that initially it would divide the fan base. It would divide the fan base between those of us who feel like this guy betrayed us, and those who feel it's just about results, get us results. But if it begins to get results, of course, everybody will come together. Everybody unite around a winning team or a winning coach. But initially, because of emotions, we would have divided opinions in that situation.
But like when left Liverpool, went to Real Madrid, came back to Manchester United after a few years. I won the league with Manchester United.
Owen is a Liverpool legend.
It's not, yes. So why is he not hated?
Van Persie is a legend of no football club.
No, he's a legend of Arsenal.
Let's move on to Manchester City. I want us to discuss this because Alan complained really about the long throws. We're seeing long throws again in the Premier League. The Rory Delap era seems to be back. Calafiori used a towel on Saturday in the West Ham game. Brentford got some really good long throws. In fact, it was one of the things that helped them against Chelsea. The long throw gave them the equalizing goal, and they seem to be using this a lot. And Alan complained about that.
Haaland has no right to complain about the strategies and the tactics that opponents want to employ. At a point in time, watching Manchester City's game was like torture. You are going to play the full 90 minutes in your half. You're not going to see the ball. They were going to have all the chances. I never complained about it. So he has to deal with it.
Of course.
And the Man City game also buttresses the point I've been trying to make. There are games where, and that's one of the reasons I love Guardiola. Guardiola wants to take the lead in the first half within the first few minutes so that he can manage the game. He always wants you chasing him and not the other way around, because when you are chasing a team that is leading you, it's always very hard. They will kill the momentum and break up your play by conceding unnecessary fouls, hurt your players as much as they can. So what you have to do as a team that understands what football is is to try to ensure that Guardiola does not take the lead against you. You have to defend strongly, because if they do, it's going to be a problem. And they got that early goal from Erling Haaland. That's how the game ended. 1-0.
1-0 it's not a bad victory. It's not a bad way to lose to Pep Guardiola's Man City that we know is star-studded. So boring game. It was a really difficult game, not really exciting. Let's quickly move to La Liga, and of course we saw the humbling of Barcelona. They lost to PSG, and now they lost to Sevilla. The high line of Hansi Flick at Barcelona, I think it has been figured out.
I say this a lot. Football at the top level is very competitive. If you use a pattern, even for a few games, obviously analysts from other clubs are going to pick it. So if you now use that pattern for an extended period of time, say a year, that people are already talking about it. And I think it was Thierry Henry that analyzed this over a year ago when Barcelona played Bayern Munich, and Harry Kane brilliantly beat the offside trap by being in the offside position when they switched the ball, and by the time it would have been switched to the other side, you be behind the ball to score. And that's what PSG used when Hakimi gave the pass to the assist to Carlo Ramos to give them the winning goal. And it also, reflected in the game they played against Sevilla. But I think the 4-1 result was very, very flattering. yes,
Sevilla,
yes, it flattered Sevilla because at 2-0, Alexis Sanchez who, by the way, is a former Barcelona star, won titles with FC Barcelona.
Yeah.
He had the opportunity to make it 3-0. He lost it. And then, just as the first half was closing, Pedri gave a magical pass to Rashford, who has been in top form.
Yeah.
He equalized for Barcelona. And then, at the second half, Barcelona dominated. They had a penalty that Robert Lewandowski lost. And then from there, it was topsy-turvy football. And it was like that up until Wojciechowski made that mistake for the third goal.
Yeah.
That goal was an error. That should have been an easy save for him, a routine save for a goalkeeper of his age, experience, and class.
Yeah.
Wojciechowski has had a very glorious career playing with Arsenal, playing with Juventus.
Yeah.
At a point in time, he was even benching Gianluigi Buffon, who is one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time. Yes.
Later days.
You understand the point. So what I'm saying is that when you just see the 4-1 result, you'll be like, they beat Barcelona, but it's about managing the game, like I said.
Yeah.
You were leading 2-0, they made an error. It was an error that saw, they turn over the ball to Barcelona, and it was just one pass that led to the goal from Marcus Rashford.
Yes.
And the coach knew he had to manage the game. And he was lucky that Lewandowski missed the penalty, and he had the chances and won by 4-1.
I think that this Barcelona team is, for me, it's still a project. Even though they succeeded last season by winning the league, I think that it's still a work in progress. You have very young players in the team, very young players. Pedri, Lamine Yamal, all of these are really young players. Gavi and co. But I think that the high line is something that they have to work on. Kubrasi is 18, 19 years old. It's a really young
and fast defender.
You expect those kind of mistakes from.
The thing is that I think the high line, basically beating the high line is getting your center forward to be in the offside position already, and then if you send a pass to a quick winger, who can now get to the ball before the Barcelona defenders are trying to recover, and then send the pass to him, he would score. So it's basically but you just have to train. You have to perfect it to beat it. But I'm sure Hansi Flick is also training his boys to defend against.
But I'm sure the line will not fail in every game. There are going to be games where
and it was very useful. It was very useful to them last season because Barcelona will cage you in your half, and then just when you were thinking you have the ball for a counter, you see the referee.
You're offside. All right. Real Madrid also won their
Villarreal
3-1, which took them back to the top of the table there in La Liga.
We've argued this before. Let's talk about the refereeing decisions first.
Okay.
The penalty obviously was very soft. The second yellow card to the Villarreal player was also very soft. And I've told you this before. Referees from every league.
Yeah.
In fact, referees are humans.
Okay.
They make mistakes.
Yes.
So I don't get why referees in Nigeria are sometimes threatened to be assaulted. They are vilified. I also don't get why Premier League referees are being accused of bribery, fixing the games and all.
Yeah.
The game against Real Madrid was an eyesore to me. The penalty was just too soft. The second yellow card was not supposed to be a yellow card. And I would even say it is simulation because the guy did not touch Vinicius' face.
These decisions favored Real Madrid today.
Of course, it did.
But it is the same Real Madrid that has complained to FIFA.
At a point in time, they were writing a whole report. I think 153 accounts.
Yes,
with video evidences
in La Liga. So
saying they didn't like a referee like this.
The point is, these things would favor you sometimes and not favor you sometimes.
And another point is that
what we are asking
for in
refereeing is
consistency,
fairness and consistency.
Yes,
not
that's
perfection. Because these decisions can ultimately decide who wins the league,
of course,
and who doesn't. There are seasons where I think that referee decisions cost Arsenal the league title, and I can give you examples. But there are sometimes too where you realize that these decisions have also favored you. Although the argument in England is the fact that these decisions never go against Manchester City. That's the argument.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
The argument is that it never goes against Manchester City. Last season, it never went against Liverpool. In fact, that's why they were referred to as Liverpool, like Lee and VR pool, because it looked like it favored them a lot.
Now this is it. Yeah, if you are on top and you are being accused of bias, I don't think you have to explain. You have to explain
Definitely.
it. You know, as a Manchester United fan, I've had years of such accusations when Sir Alex Ferguson.
Those accusations were very true.
They weren't.
I would have asked blood results.
And they weren't. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson was, you know, accused of, you know, manipulating the referees. You know, they accused Manchester United of getting favored by the referees. At that point in time, Sir Alex Ferguson was not just fighting with the press, because Sir Alex Ferguson, for years, he refused to attend the press conferences, and instead was paying the fine that Manchester United had to pay for him, because he was such a beloved legend at the club that, you know, there are coaches you don't control anymore, they control you. So Ferguson was fighting the press. He did that for years. You can, all these things are, you know, there are information that are easily verifiable online. You can check for it.
Quick.
And he was also fighting the referees.
This is the question. Do you agree that a referee can be a fan of a club?
So let's be honest. Let's be honest. Now you think that the English Premier League is owned by, I'm going to ask you a simple, this is a yes or no question that I want you to answer to. The English Premier League is owned by the 20 clubs. Each one has a share.
Yes.
Understand? So, and then when you are relegated, you lose your shares. Those promoted, you know, automatically acquire those shares. Now, do you think that these clubs will sit down together, or the board will sit down and say, let's favor Chelsea this year. Let's just give them decision. Let's just give them give their opponents red cards. Let's just give them penalties. Let's just give them let's just favor them for 2 years or 3 years, and then after then they now sit again. Let's punish Arsenal this year. It's not like that. Of course, it could look like one team is being favored. Now, if Pep Guardiola, for example, I've won 3 leagues back to back, and then I'm leading again, and then my opponents are accusing me of being favored by the referee, do you think I will come out to explain these things? I would want you to even have the mentality that I'm being favored by the referee.
This is what we are still asking for. Okay, I'm sorry we are staying on this ref issue, but we need to get this. I believe that some of these referees, whether you like it or not, are fans of these clubs.
They are humans, yes, but they're doing a job.
2, the FA that brings the rules for the season. Let's use last season as an example, right? They passed a law at the beginning of the season that if you kick the ball away, it is termed as an attempt to delay play. It's a bookable offense. Now, Arsenal got 2 red cards with that decision. After the 2 Arsenal sending off, the rule was abandoned because we checked. So we began to wait to see if the rule will be implemented again, and they somehow just felt like, okay, this doesn't make sense, let's abandon the rule. But in doing that, you had cost Arsenal 4 points already.
Hold on.
It is the consistency in applying the rules.
You said the rule was abandoned.
Yes.
So now, if I have a rule that says don't do this, and you do it,
yes,
you have to pay. You have to be penalized for it. You can argue about
penalize every other person who now does it. That's the argument.
But you said
yes.
You said it was abolished.
After it happened to Arsenal twice, no other person was punished for it anymore. Because they now claim that the press and the pressure, right, made the referees decide to, okay, let's abandon the rule. The point is, even before it was abandoned, right, we saw it happen with Man City player kick the ball off and nothing was done. If you want to be consistent, for me, let the rule affect everybody.
I would also tell you this.
To the penalty of Arsenal versus Brighton. Aerial duel, Saliba won the ball, head contact with João Pedro, penalty. This season, Gyökeres got the ball, contact with goalkeeper, no penalty.
That wasn't a penalty.
Be consistent. The Saliba own also was not a penalty.
The Gyökeres incident
what we're asking for.
Wasn't a penalty.
we are not saying that it's a penalty. We are saying that be consistent. The Saliba own also was not a penalty.
If you know what you are doing, other clubs can also bring their own evidence.
Club, that's
it's the mark of being a small club, and that's why Arsenal will always remain a small club. Sorry to say, because now Arsenal are the master of the dirty games now in the world.
Yeah.
I've not seen any team this season that has played dirty like Arsenal FC. So they shouldn't even be the ones to, because when you play dirty, you condition the minds of the referees.
Okay.
You understand? I was watching an analysis by
but all the years where Arsenal played clean, whether with Sir Alex Ferguson or with Jose Mourinho, and Ferguson and Mourinho were the kings of the dark arts. Arsenal was.
So Alex Ferguson was never a king of
Arsenal players and managers were referred to as too soft.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Now that they are giving it to teams also. Now that you have players like Gabriel and Declan Rice and Xhaka at one point who can give you as much as they receive, Arsenal are king of dark arts. I think that no matter how we look at this, there is the fan bias. You love your team. I love my team.
Hold on. So when you thinking that the Arsenal team that had a Javinho in attack, Javinho, Adebayo, Van Persie, do you think that they were supposed to win the league over a Manchester United team that had Cristiano Ronaldo, Carlos Tevez, Wayne Rooney, Jason Park, Ryan Giggs?
We are not.
You can argue about a game or two. You can argue about a game or two.
Yes.
And you can talk about referees' inconsistencies. Where I draw the line is where you try to make it seem like you are being victimized. That's where I draw the line. Referees have made mistakes that have affected even the course of a career.
Okay.
Yes. Referees have made decisions that have affected the game or even a season. Especially in cup games where these mistakes kicked you out of the competition. But where I draw the line is where you start wanting to make it seem like you are being victimized. You think they did a meeting and they said, oh, we are going to punish us now this season. It's a no.
No, this is where you still don't get my point. If these referees want to be consistent, VAR has been brought to the game to stop most of these errors. Right?
And it has helped.
And I have said that every team has suffered these bad decisions, not just Arsenal. Every team has suffered it. Therefore, that's why the complaint comes from almost every team.
And I think,
and there was a time the FA had to meet with the clubs to decide if they wanted VAR to stay or not, and the clubs voted to keep VAR because it has helped in reducing some of these errors because you're able to now check again. So saying that it's only Arsenal that has suffered it will be me trying to play stupid. Every team has had bad decisions.
Okay,
Arsenal has benefited sometimes, but have also been victims. So
yeah,
everybody has suffered it, and we think that the referees can basically do better.
So back to the Madrid game. Yeah, yes. It was a good game for Real Madrid. Another one of those games where they did their best to grind victory.
Yeah.
Vinicius had, the first half was boring, no goals scored until the second half, beginning of the second half. I think the Villarreal players had a lackadaisical approach to the second half, and then Vinicius had to, cut him from the left, and then had a shot that was deflected in.
Yeah.
And then a soft penalty that he converted. Ordinarily, it was even after the game, Xabi Alonso came out to say, Kylian Mbappe is still his penalty kick taker. Okay. And at the point where Vinicius took the penalty, it was a poor penalty kick, by the way. It squirmed under the goalkeeper into the net. At the point he took that penalty for the second goal, Mbappe had not scored.
Okay.
But he still took it, and it was 2-0. Villarreal pulled one back before a soft red card. Then Real Madrid had another goal. They didn't even know Barcelona was going to lose the next day.
Yes.
So, like I said, winning each game matters a lot.
Yeah.
Even if you play badly, but Madrid, they did well, they managed the game well, and then they won.
Yeah.
And then they are now on top of the league by 2 points.
Yes. Yeah. So congratulations to Real Madrid, back on top of the league, and of course in the Premier League, Arsenal remain top, just 1 point here, separating them and Liverpool. If you're a Liverpool fan, the league is still a long way to go. If you're an Arsenal fan, it's not time to celebrate. We still have about 31 games or so to go in the Premier League.
So over the weekend, Manchester United had their first clean sheet of the season. They, I was excited to watch the game because, like, I've always defended Amorim for a number of reasons. And I've never defended Ruben Amorim for his results. Manchester United fans know they support the biggest club, the greatest club in the world. So we do not settle for less. So we understand that the results are very, very poor. We don't defend Amorim based on the results. What we defend him on is the argument, the infantile argument that the system is what it has to change. That is wrong. That's one. And two, Ruben Amorim does not. Have you seen a press conference where he singled out a player or a group of players and blamed them?
No, he doesn't.
None.
No, he doesn't.
Have you seen where he argued that the referee were not favoring him or they didn't give him any decision? None. He's that charismatic. He's the one that wants to, because he knows that at the end of the day, Manchester United wins a treble next season. He knows that he will be the one praised for it. So as a leader, that's the charisma we love about him. You are able to absorb pressure. You are able to take the fall. That is what justifies you taking the glory. It was a good game. At a point in time, I was even angry. We had a goalkeeper, Sene Lamens, who made lots of saves for Antwerp last season. You bought him, and then you kept him for 2 weeks straight on the bench, where we suffered from, even I won't call them goalkeeping errors, but as Manchester United fans, we are afraid each time the opponents cross into our box, or this long through syndrome that has now invaded the Premier League, taking us back to the days of Stoke City, where they had tall, strong players running the lap. They were always looking to capitalize on your indecision when you take it. A throw-in for them was like a corner kick or a free kick. You get. But Sene Lamens was able to, he command his area. He only saved two balls during the 2 shots during the entire 90 minutes. One of them in the first half was already going off target. He still punched it away. The other one was a direct shot from a one-on-one position. You understand? So, but what Manchester United fans started doing, they started comparing him to the great Danish goalkeeper Peter Schmeichel, because it's a relief. We've had a few years, even with respect to David De Gea, but it was never a goalkeeper that commanded the box in terms of coming out to play his ball. Yes, he was never that goalkeeper. And there were some errors that he made the last season before Eric Ten Hag decided that he wanted the goalkeeper that could pass. And then Onana, I think Onana was not. There are some forces that worked against Onana. Let me just put it that way.
But Onana is doing better in the top.
Of course.
I think he has 2 clean sheets and 1 assist or so, 2 man of the match award.
If you are able to figure out your goalkeeping, because Sir Alex Ferguson will tell you this, that attack wins you games. Defense wins you title. And then I think it was the great football tactician, someone I respect very much, Arsene Wenger. In his day, Arsene Wenger was even teaching the press correspondents that came to ask him. He taught them about football. Arsene Wenger will tell you that if you have a very good goalkeeper, you've just saved yourself like between 12 to 15 points or thereabouts. And you can figure this out from the performances of Donnarumma at City, the performances of David Raya at Arsenal, Alisson Becker of Liverpool. You understand the Thibaut Courtois of Real Madrid.
In Barcelona.
You get the point. You understand the point. If you have a very good goalkeeper, you figured out a way to give confidence to your defenders. I watched Rio Ferdinand, for example, yesterday. He was on the podcast and was saying that the defender he was most comfortable defending with was Gary Neville, of all people that, because when the ball was, at the other side of the pitch where he had to face that side, he was always very comfortable because he knew that if it was Gary Neville that was behind him, then he would always communicate with him, he would always try to cover up for him and all that. So if you have a goalkeeper like we had Edwin van der Sar that the defenders trust, they know you will make routine saves, they know you will come out to grab the ball. It helps the team.
Of course it does.
It helps the team. A goalkeeper keeps you in the game till when you are now able to score. There are games where you have a good goalkeeper, you are being pressured, it makes 3-4 saves. Normally you should have been behind by 1 or 2 goals. Now the game is still 0-0, and then you score one, you build on that momentum, you score another one, you win 2-0, you win 3-0. They give the center forward who scored 2 goals, or the creative player that made 2 assists or an assist, or the player that ran most, they give him the man of the match award. But they forgot that it was the goalkeeper that kept them in the game.
Well, we have seen games this season, I think, where David Raya got the man of the match award because of the amount of saves he made and how he kept Arsenal in the game.
Does the Real Madrid versus Liverpool FC Champions League final come to mind?
Of course it does. Of course it does. The keeper was a disaster.
He had 50
He was a complete disaster. All right, so that's it for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again.